Good evening. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, K-Rush. Oh my gosh, happy Monday. Well, I mean, it's Monday. I don't like to say happy Monday because Mondays aren't great. But we do what we can, right? Right. Hello, welcome. Dark Crimes. Hey, don't make any confessions. That's important. Don't forget about that. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Hello. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Lee. Good to see you all. Hi, tea time. Hello, El Jenny. Yes, I'm doing quite well. Thank you very much. Oh, Willie B. Hello, welcome. Lex, good to see you. Roy, hello. How many administrative lawsuits are we up to? So, depending on how you count them, we're around that 250 area. So, give or take a few, but we're around that area. Hello, Brenda. Hello. Hopefully, my light is okay, everyone, but we'll kind of figure it out as we go here. So, it's quite a few. We've had several voluntary dismissals, which is fine. We've had a couple motion for summary judgments that have been granted in favor of the plaintiffs, so that's great. And everything just keeps on keeping on. So, hello, Kaya. Hello, Bruce Wayne's mother. Welcome. I thought I would hop on tonight and just kind of do a little overview here of the closet docket. I've been working on it the last few days, trying to get everything updated because the world's gone crazy. So the least I can do is just keep a good, clean docket here. Keep the docket going. Hello. Hi, Mary. Hello. In my world, there just aren't very many Teslas. I'll just tell you that straight up. So, hi, John. Hello. Also, I'm on a wooden floor and there's lots of creaking and it's raining. So that will be our ASMR for the evening. Hello. So welcome in, everybody. This was unplanned, spur of the moment, but oh yeah, Michigan. Oh, I don't doubt it. But I thought, I just had heard that an indictment was coming or just came for a Democratic congressional person, the one who had visited the ICE facility in Michigan. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and do a live. Did she sign off? No. No, she's still uncertain about it. She's not very happy about it yet, but she'll get there. Yes, in New Jersey, exactly. So we don't have all the details, of course. We do have in the Constitution, my handy dandy Constitution here, we do have the speech and debate clause under Article 1, where it says if a congressperson is, working and debating those kinds of things, then they are immune. They are absolutely immune from prosecution. So let me see if I can find it real quick here. Speech and debate clause. Real quick. And debate clause. Here we go. Okay, so it's Article 1, Section 6, Clause 1. Yeah, weirdos. Okay, Section 6, Clause 1. Here we go. All right, so here we go. This is Article 1 here, and it states, Section 6 here, Senators and representatives shall receive compensation for their services to be ascertained by law, paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session or their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if the elements will fit, but perhaps not. We will see. It looks like, a minor assault and trespass would probably be the biggest ones they could charge. So, and who hasn't been charged with that, right? I mean, welcome to the club. Oh my gosh. Well, all right. Doesn't sound right. All right, let's get down to business here before I get myself into trouble. Well, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. This is just kind of a bonus pick me up live here on the Monday. I thought, well, let's just go through the closet docket. It's been a while. So let me explain first what the different colors are that I'm using here. Hello, Allison. To give everybody an idea of what my key is. So I have my key here. Each sticky note is a different type of case. So a different, category. We've got lots of categories of the executive orders. Again, those are in my kitchen. But this is the closet docket. So these are the different types of cases. So pink sticky notes are for any immigration cases, any of the LGBTQ, IA plus discrimination, the DEIA ban, the birthright citizenship. Those are all going to be in pink. So our habeas corpus cases, visa revocations, any of those will be in pink. So the pink sticky notes are for those. Then we have the green ones. Those are for frozen federal funds. And for Doge, we still have a ton of cases going with the Doge, man, right? So we got a lot of those. We have blue cases for FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act requests, as well as the dismantling of various federal agencies. We have orange for the law firms that have been targeted. And I'll tell you what, the law firm lawsuits have some very interesting filings because they're not playing around. And then we have the collective bargaining, so the union cases, the federal employees, which is huge. There are a ton of cases about that, and then tariffs as well. So, and there may be some little subcategories in here too, like the USA aid and those kinds of things. So each different sticky note has a different content, has a different executive order or orders that are the problem. All right. So just to kind of keep you up to date, so you have some idea what we're going through. And then we have my larger categories here. So this is kind of the introductory portion of our program tonight, everyone. Here are let me see if I can raise this up. So originally I just had them set out according to topic, but then as the cases are starting to go, I think it's important now to really acknowledge like what the steps are that they're going through. Yeah, let me see if I can back up a little bit. That might help me a little. Here we go. Let me see. Okay. My closet is in a hallway here. So I'm now in my bathroom. Hopefully I've put enough rugs in here so that it shouldn't echo too much, but we'll see. All right. So the first column here, these are petitions that have been filed, and once a petition is filed, that triggers date deadline. So we have to be really careful with our due dates on our stuff. I don't want to say the DEAD word. So it was in the bunker. I know. I'm going to have to, I think, just take them all off the doors and like remake it in the bunker. So once you file a petition, that triggers how many days the defendant has to make their answer. All right. Now, in normal litigation, we have a petition, then we have the answer, then we go forward on discovery and so on. This is not normal litigation. This is the other thing that's the definition of not normal. So rather than having our normal roads, we have this huge fight going on for preliminary injunctions and for temporary restraining orders. All right. So we're in kind of a weird situation. Yes, Irene, I will put this up on my tube of you. So our first category, we have petitions that have been filed, but we don't have any dates or anything after that. Then the next column over here, these are filings that we're waiting on, either the plaintiff or defendant. We're waiting on one side, and we don't know exactly when the filings are due. So it'll be based off of the rules of civil procedure in whichever jurisdiction they're in. And then this category, We are waiting for filings, again, from either the plaintiff or defendant, and we actually have a date. So each one of these has a due date for when their filings are due here. So that's this column, and it's pretty big. It's hard to kind of see here with my tripod, but there we go. See how it goes down here. Goes down and around. There you go. And then this category over here. Yes, that's right, Kristen. So over here, again, everyone, this is just the introductory piece here. These are cases where we have some kind of a hearing set. It could be a preliminary injunction fighting. It could be a motion for summary judgment. It could be a restraining order, whatever it is. This is where we know when the hearings are going to be. And several have hearings this week, actually. So this kind of is where I can take a look and say, like, okay, these cases should have a hearing sometime this week. And then after the hearing, we have to wait for an order. And so down here, these are the cases that have had hearings, but we're waiting on a ruling from the judge. All right. So the judge just hasn't put their order out yet. And it could be they need more time. There was one in particular that I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Let me see if I can pick it out here. I may have put it in the ridiculous pile, but there had been I'll find it eventually, but there had been a hearing in March and we still hadn't heard back from the judge. So it was like, come on, judges, do your job, people. So those are the, true. So those are the primary closet ones. Now I have two big boards. I had to condense my boards because things got a little crazy here. I've got one board. These are all the habeas corpus cases or any case where people have been detained and could possibly lose their freedom, fall through the cracks, never be heard from again. So we have the Alien Enemies Act cases here, First Amendment cases here, and over here, I started working on class certifications, so groups of people. And then down here, these are the visa revocations, right? So these are just students from different schools and professors, various other things. So they're having their visas terminated. So that's what this category is. It's its own category because there's so many of them now. So that's the loss of freedom board over here. And then back here, again, here's our introduction, then I'll start walking through these cases a little bit, everybody. We'll do kind of a quick and dirty view of the cases. But this last board then is the Court of Appeals. So these are all of the lawsuits that the government is appealing. And you might say like, oh, that's weird. Why aren't the petitioners? Well, they're not, because all of the temporary restraining orders, preliminary injunctions, all of those things are what the government is appealing. So all of these are being appealed. And if they get a decision that they don't like, all of these could be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. As of right now, who knows what will happen tomorrow? We might have 2 more cases go on to the appellate board. The appellate process here is really what is absolutely being terribly abused, in my humble opinion here. This is just absolutely ridiculous. So you're supposed to have a good faith reason for appealing, and you're supposed to have some kind of basis for it, and that's not always the case. So yes, hello. All right, so that's the overview. Oh, and sorry, and this is my my husband's closet door, and I'm trying to keep it light. I've just got some different tests that are being used, like how do we even know if a preliminary injunction's okay here? How do we know if we can bring a lawsuit here? And then, the steps for civil lawsuit, habeas corpus, all of the emergencies that have been declared in order for the administration to even use some of these executive orders. Some of the reasons why a lot of this stuff is even in play is because he has said there are these emergencies going on. And in an emergency, the president can do extra special stuff. So a lot of these are being challenged. They're like, we're not in an emergency. What are you talking about, you weirdo? So that's this. And then down here we have our voluntarily dismissed cases here. So these that have been set up. All right. So he's across the yeah, he's already he's like, you're gonna do what? I'm like, just go. it'll be fine. Don't ask questions. Don't keep asking questions. Now the last piece of course I know. The last piece of course is the Supreme Court cases down here. So these are the cases the Supreme Court has been batting around like a bear with a bunny rabbit. So we've got these here. I've just not moved them back up and around until we get orders or if I feel like it. So that's kind of how I've been doing. Hello, Vicky. Yes. Oh, he gets his pinball time in for sure. So that's the overview, everybody, of the closet docket. There is like a little corner over here with the FOIA request. So hopefully you have some idea then of what I'm talking about as I start to go through what cases are going right now. Hopefully that was clear enough for everybody with that. So let's go ahead and put the Court of Appeals back. Now, I've updated almost all of these cases. Again, we're in that 250 range with more coming all the time. So I don't think we had any filed today, though. Today, I think, was the first day we didn't have a new one. Although, again, I haven't checked it more recently, so it's possible. Oh, you're welcome. Of course, of course. So let me go ahead and just give you a quick idea of what these cases are about. Again, these are all filed against the administration, which is what happens when you think your government has done something wrong, then you file a suit. Thank you, VC 241. Yep, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, that we have to have this. I agree. So, right. So you filed the lawsuit. So these are all civil lawsuits. None of these lawsuits have anything to do with jail or fines or anything like that. These are just all civil lawsuits asking for whatever the administration has done or is trying to do to stop. They're just trying to make them stop. That's what these cases are about. And that's the civil element. They're asking for the judges to rule the executive orders unconstitutional, illegal. They're asking for restraining orders to be put in permanent, those kinds of things. Specific performance, exactly, Shannon, exactly. So they're saying, look, something illegal is going on and we need you to make it stop. So that's what these suits are all about. A lot of people are like, well, with all these, he should go to jail. Like, no, no, these are the civil cases. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. I have my pen this time instead of my ring sizer. I'm not sure where my ring sizer went after the last live. I put it somewhere where I wouldn't forget, right? And so I don't have no idea where's that. All right, so here we go. Here are the cases that have either just been filed or there's just no movement on them. So nothing's going on right now. This one is state, actually. I should put it in the state area. So we have birthright citizenship, transgender ban on sports. This was filed April 16th. Out of the Maine Department of Education, we have the TPS cancellation, and there may be some updates in here too that I haven't moved them around yet. But this is temporary protective you know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody, oh, the word just slipped my mind. Oh my gosh. So, right, for any of our immigrants that have been here, right? Sometimes they're granted temporary protective status. Thank you so much. Yes, Dark Crimes, I appreciate that. So TPS, they're canceling the TPS. We've all heard about the Venezuelans, right? We all know about the Venezuelans, but there are also a couple more groups. There's a group of Afghanistans and Cameroons. So these are two more groups of people that they are trying to pull TPS off of. All right. So this was just filed on the 7th. So, you know, it's been it's been about a week. Again, they're going to keep going after groups. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing maybe a handful of these TPS cancellation cases, with other countries being included in it. So, that's just an ongoing issue. Here, this was a Coalition of Humane Immigrant Rights. And this is, again, the expedited removal policy. They're challenging this. This was filed in March. We don't have any movement on that. So again, these are the petitions that have been filed. We don't have anything really going on here. Is the Constitution considered law? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, although the Declaration is not, and the preamble to the Constitution is also not used. You can't use that to support a thesis or your legal argument. All right, here we go. Next, we've got Angelica versus Department of Health and Human Services. This is where we've got unaccompanied children that are in ICE custody here. So they are actually in the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and they have no adults or guardians for one reason or another. They've got like family in the area. They've also got people volunteering to be guardians, but they're not pointing the people to the children. So the children are just basically hanging out in this refugee resettlement area. This is not unique to this administration. This has been going on for a very long time and is a huge, huge issue that, in my mind is like, well, we're cleaning all the rest of this crap up. Let's clean this up too. So this needs to be taken care of. Oh, it is horrible. It absolutely is. And again, not unique to this administration either. And so I think it's really important that they got in here as well. Like, we don't want to put those huge issues on the side just because there's a particular administration going on. Like, if the act itself is continuing, then it needs to be brought up to the attention of the courts. All right, so again, we're in the petition filed categories. So we've got dismantling of Department of Education, and this is the NAACP that has filed this one, and this was late March. The USA dismantling American Oversight versus DOJ, this was March. AmeriCorps dismantling, so Elevate Baltimore Incorporated versus Corporation for National and Community Service. This case here filed May 5th. Then we have oil, gas, environment harm going on here because we've got revocation of certain executive orders. This case is out of northern Alaska, and they're claiming he has he's revoked some executive orders that were protecting the environment because of oil and gas reasons in Alaska, and he revoked them, and now harm's being done. There is a specific executive order called something like, let's see if I can remember the name of it, like taking Alaska's gifts that they want to give us, some kind of weird thing like that, where it's an executive order specific to oil and gas in Alaska. And that's another piece of it. So it's kind of twofold. The revocation of executive orders that were protecting them in Alaska, and then also the executive order going in and saying, we're going to take your stuff. So that's another issue. Right. Team break. Thank you. Yes. All right. So that's the blue ones dismantling here. Now we've got federal funds here and dismantling. And the Doge cases are also in the green. So this is the Authors Guild versus the National Endowment for the Humanities because they have refused to pay the grants that have already been awarded. This is Doge. This is Project on Government Oversight versus Trump. They did have that preliminary injunction denied, so that's why it's not being appealed, but we're still waiting on filings. The New York et al. V. Trump. This is where we have wind energy development is all been paused. All of this has been paused. We have more grants that have been canceled. Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium versus Department of Education. So these grants have been canceled. We have Washington et al. Versus Department of Transportation. We've got this infrastructure for electronic vehicles that has been suspended. All right, so the federal program for that, they're suing over that. Next, we have California versus the Department of Transportation here. And this is huge. This is actually one to really keep your eye on here. This was filed just on the 13th, so less than a week ago. And it's a group of states, and they're saying, like traditionally, if you didn't do what the federal government wanted you to do, they would withhold highway funds, right? That was just kind of like the classic what they did before. But now they're saying, you're threatening us to withhold these funds for transportation. So because of that, we're suing you because they're abusing it. So basically, this little trick that the government's used over the decades is being horribly abused. And so they're taking it to court. Finally taking it to court. Right, government accountability. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit out of breath, everybody. I'm usually not standing up. So, if you're seated or lying down most of your life and then you stand up, everything's a little bit takes a little bit to get used to. So, forgive me for that, but no worries. So next we've got one more federal funds here. Illinois and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This is FEMA. So this is where FEMA has gone in and said, we're not giving you any funds. We've got frozen funds, and this is a group of states, not just Illinois. This was filed again just on the 13th. So one of the newer cases here. Can you believe that? I mean, oh my goodness gracious. I can't go off on one of these because I won't finish. I won't be able to get through all of it. All right, next up, we've got federal employee here. So this is Samuels versus Trump, and this is the firing of the EEOC commissioner. That's been filed. No movement yet. We have the Larrabee lawsuit. This is the law firm that was targeted by an executive order. We don't have anything really moving it yet. Collective bargaining being challenged by the Federal Education Association. And they're coming in and saying, you've gone in and rescinded our collective bargaining agreements. This is kind of a big deal. Like, I know we're all like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff going on. I know. But you have a collective bargaining agreement with the Federal Education Association, and they're like, we're not going to follow that bargaining agreement. That's a problem. That's a pretty big problem. Correct. That's right, Doughboy. You're absolutely right. All right. And then we have the IEEPA tariffs. So this is the learning resources case. And again, they are saying the administration's like, we have an emergency situation, so we can do whatever we want with tariffs. Now, as I've posted multiple times, that's just not true. First, we don't have an emergency. And then next, we don't really have the permission set out for the president to do that. And Congress is saying that. So that's this one. And then we have revocation of security clearance here. And we've had several people whose security clearances have been revoked, but this particular one is suing here. So good evening. Welcome. Okay. And then down here we have good evening. Welcome. Okay. And then down here we have a couple cases stayed. So the Mennonite Church versus DHS has been stayed, so it's paused. And then our FOIA request down here. And I don't spend a lot of time on those unless there's something really interesting going on. All right, back up. Next category. Yes, this is something light. This is my minimal work here to just walk everybody through these cases here. Is that weird? I know. Sometimes I'm a little weird. All right, here's our next category. So those were the petitions that were filed. This category, we've got petitions, right? I know I need an assistant. I do, but my cats are just too short. All right. Oh, I'm doing all right. I apologize for my breath isn't great, but it's no worries. It sounds worse than it is. So next we've got no special dates, and we've got filings that we're waiting on here. Oh, thank you, Sharon, Noble Sharon. Appreciate that. We've got, let's see, a funding cap was put into place, and this is the Association of American Universities versus the Department of Energy. We do have a preliminary injunction granted, so everything is tangled up in that. You're painting a pineapple. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, I gotta go get that. That's on my list. I love it. Here's a Doge case, Center for Taxpayers versus the IRS. They've been going back and forth, just did an amended complaint, so we're kind of still waiting on that to finish up. We've got Metropolitan Transport Authority versus Duffy. We've got rescissions of federal funds. And so transportation agreement that had been made, they are absolutely pulling that. And that's kind of a big whoop-de-doo here. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Sometimes I forget how sensitive my mic is. And if I'm on a panel, like I have to look really close at my phone. And if I'm talking, I'm like, I wonder if I'm really loud. And then I forget and I'm like, well, sorry, whatever. Earmuffs, everybody, earmuffs. Next up, we have Open Technology Funds versus Lake. This is, again, we've got a temporary restraining order in place. Frozen funds over here. So these are some more funds that have been frozen. President and Fellows of Harvard College versus U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This is a complaint regarding funding being frozen. Now, Harvard's on here a couple of times, but this is specific to funding here. This one, Solutions and Hometown Connections. Also, we've got funding that's been pulled. They're still going through those preliminary injunctions. Next, we have Doge. Wait, I just did that one. Sorry about that. I went down and then I went back up. Okay. And now I went over. I'm so messy. I apologize. Here we go. So the American Association for University Professors at DOJ. So this is specific to Columbia University. We're still briefing this one out. National Treasury Union, National Treasury Employees Union versus a VOT. And this one's kind of a mess. This is actually really interesting because, so anytime we have a preliminary injunction, right, the government's going to appeal it. They're going to say, no, you can't stop our executive order. And so they did appeal it, and they appealed it up to their appellate circuit. But then they actually voluntarily dismissed the appeal here. And they did that because they felt like the preliminary injunction at this point was going to basically fall away. It was going to become moot because they're briefing the motions for summary judgments right now. There was an issue, a motion to compel, saying the government was not complying with the preliminary injunction, but that's been sorted out. And they're like, look, let's just get our motions for summary judgment in place, start briefing that, and keep the ball rolling here. So that's kind of a weird transition, but this whole thing is weird. This whole situation is weird. So, oh my gosh. Yes, and if anyone, hopefully you can see this well enough to be able to get a screenshot, but if anyone would like me to do better than for the screenshots, let me know. This, let's see, this one for the National Treasury Employees Union, I would say we're either, because it's green, we're dealing with funding that has been pulled in this situation. So any of there's like half a dozen, maybe 10 funding executive orders. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly which executive order, but I will tell you, if you pull the case, and here's the case number up here. It's better to put the full name in, actually, everyone, for this particular one. Boy, I guess I got lazy on this one. I didn't put the full one on. Anyway, but if you put the name in, go to their petition, and within those first two paragraphs, it'll set out which executive orders that they want. Yeah, they're very good about that. Like, you have to have that in your petition in order to be like, hey, we have a lawsuit. All right, next we've got, let's see, reduction in force. So this is the federal employees here. The last thing has been an order on a production of documents. So we have a temporary restraining order. The government's fighting giving them any discovery here. Thank you, VC. Appreciate that. Next over here, we have the National Treasury Employees Union versus Trump. So like you might think, oh, that's the same case. Nope, it's not. It's a different case. We're still working on notices on that case. It's not really moving very quickly here. Next, we have federal employees. This is the fork in the road, right? Where they were offering the federal employees, like, if you resign now, then, you can have some benefits and stuff. And so that was being challenged. Here, right now, they're still just dinking around with a motion to dismiss. The government's filed a motion to dismiss, and they're saying basically, the government's saying in their motions to dismiss, basically two things. The first they're saying is that the jurisdiction, you don't have jurisdiction to hear a case. The second piece is that you've not stated a claim where recovery can occur. So those are the two different pieces for their motions to dismiss. Right, because if you don't state a claim where there can be some remedy by the court, then you don't have standing. And if you don't have jurisdiction, you don't have standing. So those are the motions to dismiss grounds on almost all of these here. All right, then we've got the Oregon tariffs case, which this is the one where Congress did this huge amicus curiae brief. And they just did a great job. Also, it's in the U.S. International Trade Court, which is just another court. It's not a fancy court. It's just another court in the district court level. So it's not like, no one's wearing wigs and stuff. It's just the name of the court, because the judges and the whole system there has the specialized knowledge of U.S. international trade. So that's kind of cool, actually. That's really good, because they know the law really well. So it's not like just tossed into another district court. Then we've got Dovie Collins here. We've got a related case going on. This is a federal employee, and she wants to remain anonymous here, so we don't have a lot of details on that. We've got Government Accountability Project versus OPM. We're still waiting on an answer again from the government. The complaint was amended as well, and so they're working on different dates. All right, and then we've got the pink ones. Here we go, everybody. Here we go. All right, immigration. So oh my gosh, my Spanish is terrible. My apologies ahead of time. Centro de Trabajadores Unidos Vicente. So, United Workers, basically, for Vicente here. And they did get a protective order granted, but there hasn't been anything in place since then. Then we have the transgender ban for passports. This is the Orr v. Trump case. This is a really big case. The answer's been due. The extension was given, and I have not read through the answer, so I don't know exactly what the fight is. But after an answer's given, then they go forward from there with discovery and various other things. We've got the DEI ban here. And I did put the executive orders on this one. Well, that's nice. Good for me. So Doe 1 versus the Office of Director of National Intelligence. So I think this one in particular, I don't know. Here's the case number if you're interested. I was going to do a spiel on it, but I'll hold my spiel back. But they're suing again because of these two executive orders. Then we have the Chicago Women in Trades set out here. And they've got 3 executive orders, actually. And it looks like a preliminary injunction was set into place here. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I'm squared up at least a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's all right. All right, and then next, again, these are, we're waiting for filings. So basically, for anything that's on here, if it's not a habeas case and there's not a hearing or waiting for an order, I just check it once a week and then update everything. Like, did the filings come in? Was there a hearing set? And so forth. So that's kind of how, that's my process here. All right, next we have Immigration, Las Americas Immigrant Agency Center versus Department of Homeland Security. This is, again, motion for summary judgment was partially granted. And then there's some intervention involved. This is an immigration case not involving the Alien Enemies Act. That's why it's kind of walking down a different road than the others. So this is a separate immigration case. We've got the trans-military ban. So this is still in play, everybody. We do have one case that the Ireland case, they're like, we're out right now. We've got a lot of stuff going on. But the Talbot case is still up and running. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court said that you could still have the ban in place during litigation. So that didn't mean the case was over. It just meant the ban could remain in place while we finish up the legal process here. Sorry, tea break, everybody here. Whew. All right, transgender ban here for the military. It's looking like we do have actually something due on the 21st, so I should actually move that over for the filing that we know. Oh my gosh, apprenticeships. How fun would that be? Yeah, that'd be so fun. Oh my gosh, that'd be great. All right, so keep your eye on this. A lot of people are like, oh, well, the administration won on the transgender military ban. No. This is just getting started. We're just getting started on this litigation here. The only thing that has been discussed is whether or not the injunction will pause it or not. So that's it. Oh, Tristine. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my goodness. All right, so here we go. We've got the U.S. aid case here where they're actually destroying records. American oversight here, and the question is whether or not the records are being destroyed, and if they are, is that a violation of FOIA or the Federal Records Act? Ongoing again, we're waiting for more filings. We have the dismantling of the Department of Education. So Somerville Public Schools here. They have, they've requested a preliminary injunction that's not been granted yet. And I think this one, excuse me, everybody. We've got several public schools going after this Department of Education being dismantled, but one in particular is actually parents. And they're saying, look, we monitor our community and we watch out for our schools with this committee that we created, blah, blah, blah. And we can't do that because of that. So there you go. That's the no special date, but waiting for filings. Oh, and we do have a special filing up here. As you can see, anytime I find a case that I think just really needs a little extra something, I put it on a little bit different note so that it's distinguishable here. So this case just, yikes. SCOTUS says the transgender is wrong. What happens to those that are kicked out? Great question. And, they will have to put that into place. They'll have to either include that in their order, and they can do that. They can say anyone who has been removed or has left based off of this particular order that we find unconstitutional should be reinstated immediately, and they need to make a process to do it. So that's typically what would be put into those kinds of orders to remedy the situation, because ultimately they have to fix it. If the order was bad, they have to do whatever they need to in order to, fix the harm they caused. So this case is Pueblo of Isleta, Prairie Band, Potawatomi Nation, Cheyenne, and Arapaho tribes, Bowen, and multiple others here, versus the Secretary of the Interior, that Burgum fella. This case, oh my gosh, everybody, oh my goodness, this drives me crazy. So as we all know, the Doge went through and they just cut everything. So we have something called the Bureau of Indian Education. That's just a thing. That's a thing we have. We have special laws just for our indigenous peoples. And they went in and cut a whole bunch from the Bureau of Indian Education, and which is BIE. And what the nations are saying here, the nations and tribes, they're saying, look, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, that's, your prerogative, but you didn't even give us notice. You didn't tell us, you didn't consult with us at all. We had no idea. Basically, the people were cut that were critical in this process that we use because it's set out as federal law. And you cut a whole bunch of people out of it. And now we're trying to figure out what the H to do now that they have lost this huge amount of their workforce. All right. So yes, our indigenous people, our tribes, our nations are really struggling because it doesn't matter if you are part of the history of our indigenous peoples or whatever protections have been put into place because of treaties. Apparently, it doesn't matter. You're still getting cut. So that's kind of a big case. There's not much going on it, with it right now, but it's very precise and very well written. So I love to see that. If it's a well written complaint, I'm always like, okay, let's go. Go fight, win. So that's my view of that case. Next, are we ready? Are we ready for the next batch, everybody? Next, we have a date set here for filings. We're waiting on filings, and we know when the filing is due. So the pink ones up here, we have birthright citizenship. This is New Hampshire Indonesian community support. We're still waiting on the answer for that. I bet there'll probably be a motion to dismiss filed before the answer gets filed. That's what I'm gonna guess. We have a ban on the DEI case here, National Urban League up here. Looks like they've got an extension for when their answer's due. So there you go. Next, we have immigration. So Make the Road New York et al. Versus Noam. And this is an expedited removal executive order, due process issues kind of situation here. And it looks like we've got a filing that was due today. So they may have filed it. They will have, the government will have either filed something or a motion to dismiss. We will see. It's anybody's guess. Spin the wheel. Next, we have a deportation case, and this is Chihab versus Noam. And we are, let's see, we have a status report on this particular one. This is not an Alien Enemies Act case. This is, I think this is another First Amendment case, actually. I should have moved it, but we have filings due all the way scheduled through late June. So filings are just coming in. Still on that. Next, we have a National Endowment for Democracy versus USA here. And right now, this one's kind of paused. This one stayed. Again, this is endowment funding and for research and so on, that they are freezing everything. So we're kind of waiting for those executive order cases to go through. Several of these have the same themes, and if they're not consolidated into the other cases, then what they'll do is something called an abeyance or a stay. Well, they will just say, Judge, we've got 3 or 4 of these other cases going. Let's wait until the other circuits decide their cases, and then we'll come back. So that is happening too on some of our other cases. Next, we have AFL-CIO versus Department of Labor. This one, let's see. So we had a motion to compel done by the plaintiffs. So they were already fighting the government. The motion to compel was granted on March 28th. Then it looks like they did a partial dismissal of a couple of the counts that they were talking about. So partial dismissal, and then one was dismissed in full. But everything else was solid and beat the motion for dismissal. So good to go on that. And then the defendant's answers due May 30th. So that one's kind of got a weird term because we had motion to compel filed and granted. Motion to compel basically is the plaintiff saying the government's not doing what you told them they're supposed to do. And then the government was taken to court, and the court said that's correct, so fix it. I need longer post-its. I know. Oh my gosh, I know. I know it's pretty old school, everybody, but for me, I'm a visual person, so this helps me remember what's going on. All right, next up, we've got a Doge case, so Center for Biodiversity. And this has an amended complaint to it. Again, Doge went beyond what their power was allowing for them to do. And we've got dates set out through July for filings. Then we have Alliance for Retired Americans versus the Treasury Department. And it looks like our dates were pushed back again. So they must have had extensions put into place, which, that happens. Here is Public Citizen versus Trump over here. So you can see the case number if you're interested. All right. Oh, this is interesting. So this is one of multiple cases that are very similar. So the Lentini case, and there are a couple of other ones. But in this one, they asked for expedited discovery, meaning they said, Judge, can we hurry up with discovery? And the judge was like, nope. So that was interesting. The other expedited discovery has been granted. Expedited discovery is something that's a little bit unique to the federal court system because in our state courts, we don't really need to rush things through like that. In our courts, you have the same judges, the same people all the time, but federal court works a little different. You have to have special permission to practice in federal court. You may only go there for a couple of cases and then be done, or you may go for a handful of cases. So, and it also depends on the exigency of the situation. So expedited discovery is just something that's part of federal practice, not state practice really. But I'm surprised in this case that they denied that expedited discovery. I mean, it's not going to hurt the case. I'm just a little surprised. Then there was a motion to dismiss that was filed, and tomorrow it looks like plaintiffs' opposition to motion to dismiss are due. So that's tomorrow. We'll have to check and see if they do that. All right, next we have another Doge case. This is Gribben versus Musk, and this is Mr. Musk himself is being sued here, in his capacity, whatever. But that's his name on the filings. And we have an extension granted for Mr. Musk to file his answer. So that's due the 21st. Then we have another Center for Biological Diversity. This is against the Department of Interior. This one was Office of Management and Budget. This is Department of Interior. It looks like if the defendants want to file a motion to dismiss, it's due by May 26th. So that's the latest filing there. And then we have Shapiro versus the Department of the Interior. This one I thought would be interesting, but then it wasn't. It really wasn't. I thought, ooh, are we going to have some contempt issues going on? And then I was like, nope. So again, we have federal funds here that are frozen. The answer from the government's due June 16th. Next, we have a project on government oversight here. We do have a preliminary injunction that was denied just last week. And it looks like, oh my gosh, it looks like the plaintiffs have filed another request for a preliminary injunction. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right, so, oh my gosh, you probably all are like, what are you talking about? Okay, so the preliminary injunction here is basically to halt the executive order that's permitting Doge to do what it's doing. Now, the judge said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then, so boom, the preliminary injunction's out. And then the plaintiffs are like, are you sure? And they filed another one with different grounds, because you can only argue the grounds. Well, you're only supposed to argue the grounds that are pled here. So the judge was like, no, you can't get this based off of 1, 2, and 3. And they're like, all right, that's fine. Let's try 10, 11, and 12. So there it goes. I know I do. I need another one. Oh my gosh, everybody. I know. I tell you, I feel my 5'2" height right now. I really do. All right, here we go. Now we've got the mayor of the city of Baltimore. We have the restraining order and preliminary injunction was denied. This is federal funds. The motion to dismiss was filed on the 15th. Shocker. So this is the classic situation where the answer from the government was due on the 15th, but instead of filing the answer to give the reasons why they're wrong, they filed a motion to dismiss instead. So it just like tangles up the system further because of that. Next, we have another Doge case, American Oversight, again here. And we have, it looks like discovery closes June 27th there. So we do have some firmer dates for discovery here. And everyone knows what I'm talking about when I'm saying discovery, right? Interrogatories, depositions, requests for production of documents. Basically, the plaintiffs can request information from the government. Now, the government a lot of times is saying like, oh, we're not going to give you anything. Why? Because they're jerks. Because they just don't want to, but, they have to. I mean, it's the legal system. All right, next up, more federal funds. This is Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council versus Department of Agriculture. Here, again, we've got frozen federal funds going on that have not been distributed. So we've got, looks like, it's looking like the response to the preliminary injunction motion needs to be filed by the defendants today. So that's the last order here. The sticky culprit. No, nobody would admit to it. Nobody would admit to it, but I think they're all in it together. All right, here's our next Doge case, Nemeth Greenleaf. And it looks like our answer is due, again, today. Now the question will be, did they file a motion to dismiss or did they actually file an answer? So we don't know. We'll find out next time I check that docket. Now let me move down here a little bit. Oh, all right. Hopefully everyone can see it okay. In case, again, if you're interested in any of these, you can feel free to just grab the case number off of here and follow along, follow it down the road. All right, so orange, we have federal employees. So these were federal employees that were targeted. This was collective bargaining. But we have AFGE and AFL-CIO. Here, looks like we have defendants filed a motion to dismiss April 22nd, which was opposed by the plaintiffs. And then it's looking like the time was pushed down. So we're still fighting with that motion to dismiss right now. Stilettos. That's funny. Well, you know, I hear that's all the things to put lifts in your shoes. All right, next we have the National Treasury Employees Union, another one. Again, here we've got a motion to dismiss that was filed by the defendant instead of the answer. Now, the temporary restraining order was also denied. So, tea break. Sorry, everybody. Okay, where were we? Here we go, motion to dismiss, right. That's such a crappy thing to do, to file a motion to dismiss instead of filing an answer. All right, this is our collective bargaining one. Remember, we had that collective bargaining executive order that came out, and all of us were like, oh my gosh, that's awful. Yes. So we've got the American Federation of Government Employees here, and it looks like a joint statement was due May 2nd. I've not read it. What's weird about this case, though, is that the only way to really find it is through Pacer. And I try to only do cases and put things up that are easily accessible to the public. So this one's kind of different. And it looks like they're still fighting the temporary restraining order. So this case is just moving really slowly, is the only thing there. All right, and then we're back over here. So this is another one, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We have a huge reduction in staff. Now this again is different. The other one we were dealing with, again, specifically dealt with education, but now we've got more cutting of staff here. Then we've got Commons versus Department DHS over here. This is a sealed complaint. We don't know anything other than the response is due May 26th. Jane Doe's 1 through 2 here. Restraining order has been denied, and it looks like they're requesting to be a certified class. This has to do with employee email privacy and the impact statements, basically, on what's been going on here. So the defendants, if they want to challenge a class certification for our Jane Doe's, that reply is due by May 27th. All right, and then over here, we go. Keep moving. Keep it. There we go. Oh, here we go. Let me make sure I got it. Okay, wait. All right, there we are. Only the highest of qualities here, everyone. Oh, my goodness. All right, here's an elections case. We've got the League of United Latin American Citizens versus the executive branch. Two other cases were consolidated in here, and it looks like, based off of this, the only thing we know right now, they did file a complaint on April 3rd, and it looks like the answer's due on May 31st. So that's all we know about this one right here. We're kind of waiting to see what their arguments are. Dismantling the U.S. Institute of Peace. Oh my goodness gracious, that's no good. Ooh. Pippinger versus U.S. Doge Services here. May 30th is the last discovery motion due. So that's important. We've got Democracy Forward Foundation versus U.S. Marshal Services. This is the FOIA request. So they said we've got some information we want to know about. And a status report's due June 9th. Then dismantling of U.S. aid here. So this is personal services contractor association versus Trump. We did have the temporary restraining order denied, and that was a telephonic conference, which happens a lot. And they're still requesting a preliminary injunction. Even though the TRO was denied, they're like, dude, we still want that preliminary injunction. So they're fighting that out right now in court. That's the big thing, is they're like, seriously, they're not taking no for an answer sometimes, and that's fine. Here's dismantling of U.S. aid over here. Let's move this over here so I can see what's behind it. Sometimes I had to double stack. There's just so much information. Looks like this is the AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition versus Department of State. And let's see, here's our executive order here, status conference on the 6th. And then it looks like the preliminary injunction was granted in part and denied in part. And this actually went up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and Chief Judge Roberts said you need to clarify a few bits and bobs on this. I've not seen the clarification points yet, so there you go. And I think there was a motion for, what does that say? Motion for, oh yes, this was weird. The defendants filed a motion for a ruling, which is like weird. I don't think I've ever seen that file before. They're like, hey, judge, we got a question. We want you to rule on it. So we're going to file a motion to say you need to rule on it. And the judge is like, nope, we're not doing that. I thought that was fascinating. I'm like, you go, judges. Don't get bullied. All right, so here's our last of the big categories here. And then we can jump down to appeals and habeas. So we're coming, this is the home stretch, everyone. Oh, all right, here we go. These are the hearing dates that are set. Let me grab my tea again, everyone. Whew. All right, here we go. So we do have a hearing date set for these cases. This one is, they remove the climate change information off of the website, and it's the Northeast Organic Farming Association of New York versus the Department of Agriculture. We have a hearing set. Oh, I guess this is the first one's a bad example because it's in May or June. They've not decided yet. That's still actually up in the air when it's going to be, but hearing is supposed to be set. Oh, thanks, Just Chris. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, well, you know, it helps me because, you know, this time is crazy. This is a crazy time. So it helps me, at least. I'm hoping it helps others. Next, we have federal funds. And we have the Sustainability Institute here. This preliminary injunction hearing set for today. Ooh, I wonder how that went. I'll have to check and see how that went. I'm reaching up too high, everybody. Again, I'm usually in a seated or lying down position, so my lungs are like, this is so weird that you're standing upright. Oh, all right, so then we have federal employees, so public employees for environmental responsibility here. We have a telephone conference tomorrow. Federal funds here, American Public Health Association. Looks like we've got a preliminary hearing argument on the 22nd. So that's exciting. Indict, do you mean indict? We were talking about that, right? The trespass for the ICE facility. I'm not sure exactly what all the details are on that. We're kind of keeping our eye on it. Wine time. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Which one was due today? The preliminary hearing for this one. So it's case the Sustainability Institute versus Trump here. That would be the one. And next we've got union contract cancellation. Again, oral arguments are May 27th. This is the IEEPA tariffs. Here, the California case. We've got a hearing set for the 22nd. That'll be really big. Yes. Oh, Lisa, I know it feels kind of like like nothing, because it's hard to see. That's one of the reasons why I like to put it up visually so people can really see. But this is tremendously important, the lawsuits here. The sheer quantity of how these DOJ attorneys have to run around and file all of this stuff is absolutely enormous. This is where we have the, giant tank of our legal system slowly rolling forward over the bologna sandwiches. So absolutely, I mean, this is monumental. This is the fight, and I've said this before. Are we in a civil war? We are, but the civil war is in court, and this is where the fight is. And there's a lot going on. So I think it's good, but hard to see if you're not in the thick of it. Oh, absolutely. I understand. And the whole situation in DC too, we still have a lawsuit open for the officers who are injured and various other people. And the Blessing Game case, that's still ongoing. And we're still waiting to see, we still need to get that to trial in order to see what kind of damages are available for them as well. So there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit going on. Right. And it's tough. All right, here we go. We've got Slaughter v. Trump. These are FTC fired employees here. We are waiting for a motion for summary judgment, which is tomorrow. So motion for summary judgment was requested, and I think that response then is due tomorrow. Like he's trying to overwhelm. Well, right. Well, and I don't think it's him either. I mean, I don't think this is him. I don't think he really understands what's happening here. I think they just give him bullet points, and he's like, all right, sounds good. All right. Next collective bargaining case, the DOD versus the AFGE here. And it looks like June 10th is their hearing on that. So we have a motion to dismiss that's been filed by the government. That's what the hearing is for. We've got a next set of tariffs over here. VOS selections, and this is in the U.S. Court of International Trade. Again, it's just a regular federal district court, but with specialized knowledge regarding international trade. So that's important, right? Ooh, is it the 13th? Oh, I bet we would have already had the hearing then. I'll have to catch up on that one. Ooh, I'm going to take this one down, everybody, and put it to the side. I'm going to have to look this one up and see what happens. Don't know. We're on the edge of our seats. All right, here we've got New York v. Kennedy. A preliminary injunction hearing is on the 20th, so tomorrow. This, again, has to do with federal employees and dismantling. Down here, we have the Inspector General terminations. Everybody remembers that. The Storch v. Hegseth case, so that was kind of our first big executive order, was like, what do you mean you're getting rid of the people that monitor and make sure everybody does their job? All right. And it looks like we've got a preliminary hearing that had already occurred, but we're waiting on the order. So that's why I put it up here. It's like we're waiting. It's just taking a really long time, apparently. Next, Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights here. This is another one. Hearing on June 10th. American Association of University Professors versus Rubio. Looks like a status conference is scheduled for the 22nd. So just in a couple days, we should have some idea. That's a good question. I get a lot of my information off of Lawfare, Just Security. There are some bots that Lawfare and Just Security both have links to. And then there are a few other places that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I bookmarked them through Blue Sky. So Blue Sky is an amazing resource for getting updates, like quick updates. There are a couple of Blue Sky accounts that are just following all of these cases. So all the new orders come down. And then once the order comes down in some kind of bot form, then I go into the docket and double check and see what it is. So I check the dockets twice a week for the filings myself. I just go through one at a time, and so on. But then if there's any other thing that's going on in the news, then I double check that. Sure. Here, let me finish up my last my last one here. All right, so Rubio, status conference the 22nd. And then the last one here, DEI banned San Francisco A's Foundation here. And then we've got another preliminary injunction hearing on the 22nd. All right, so let me back up again. No worries. Let me back up here. We're backing up. I've got one more category there to do, and then the 2 boards, and we're going to be good to go there. So this kind of gives you some idea of, again, the lawsuits filed against the administration. Let's see if I can go backwards a little bit further here. Here we go. I'm in my bathroom now, so the acoustics might be off a little bit. There we go, and then we're coming back out. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know, the door frame, I know, right? A lot happening on the 22nd. Yes, there is. There really is. A lot going on the 22nd. So we've got a busy couple of days coming up, and then things kind of taper off a little bit. So it's like hurry up and wait, which is pretty normal in the legal system. Yeah, again, everybody, all of these lawsuits are being defended by the Department of Justice. So this isn't, a couple of law firms in here defending these cases for, someone. This is the Department of Justice. Like, how many other cases could they be doing and working on if they weren't working on the constitutionality of, like, birthright citizenship? You know what I'm saying? So I could go off on that for a while. Yes, he does think I'm crazy. He comes in, he's got my whole family saying this. They'll just walk by me and they're like, I remember the days when she wasn't playing with Post-it notes all the time. I remember when our wall was just a wall and didn't have the Post-its on it. Oh my gosh. And then I say back, like, I remember when I knew how to do laundry. When was that? Oh my gosh, it cracks me up. I need to write a book. You're right. I've had so many people tell me that I should write a book. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, here we go. Now we're waiting on orders. This is the last category. We're waiting on orders here. LeBlanc here versus U.S. Privacy and Civil Liberties. A motion for summary judgment hearing was held. We don't have details on that one yet. This is a federal employee situation. We've got another law firm here. This is the Jenner and Block versus the DOJ law firm. And I've noted that it's crazy town. So this one apparently is really bad. And the hearing was held the 28th. We're still waiting. The tariffs. So the very first, was it? That's right. Yes, this was the first tariffs case that was filed. Emily LePaper. This was the first one, and we've got they've transferred it over to the Court of International Trade. So we're still waiting on an order there, acknowledging that it's been moved. Then we have, next up, federal employees here, Democratic National Committee, and there was a hearing on April 9th on a motion to dismiss, not heard back yet. And when I say that, I say I myself have not seen or heard anything back. There may be orders sitting out there that I've just not gotten to yet. So that's the caveat here. And then the FBI agent situation. We did have one of the agents that didn't want to be involved anymore. There was a hearing on April 30th. We're waiting on that. Inspector Generals, again, this is our second note because we're waiting on an order over here. We're waiting on filings and an order, so they've got 2 sticky notes. Law firm over here, the Wilmer, I don't know if you can see that very well. Here we go. Wilmer Cutler. And we had a hearing on the 24th, waiting on that. Frozen funds for the NIH, April 15th hearing, waiting. Crew versus U.S. Doge. Also, we're waiting on a stay on this one, too. So this one's waiting. State of New York, another New York case. So we've got a motion to partially dissolve. So there must have been some things that were worked out. And a motion for reconsideration. We're waiting for the court's response on that motion for reconsideration. Frozen funds here. So it's California Infrastructure Economic Development Bank versus Citibank, and it's been consolidated with a few others. And it looks like we're still waiting on that order for that preliminary injunction. So, that's still happening. And then down here, U.S. Institute of Peace. This is a different case than the one we were talking about earlier. Motion for summary judgment. We're waiting on the decision on that. Japanese American Citizens League here. They've extended times for filing, so we're waiting again for orders. This is the waiting for orders section. I suppose I don't have to say it every time, but there you go. Then we've got Department of Education dismantling, New York versus the wrestling lady here. And it looks like June 18th, the answer is due. The VOA dismantling, oh my gosh. So Witakuswara versus Lake. Here, there was a venue transfer involved, so we got to wait until it gets to the next court. IAF dismantling here. Cristosal Human Rights versus Morocco here, waiting. And then USADF dismantling also. This is the, this is another Brem. We've got a preliminary injunction that they haven't ruled on yet. And I think they were kind of waiting for the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court's not going to help you people. Make some choices. Get your schedule sorted out. And then our last one here, we have gender identity extremism, and this was brought by the Doctors for America here. And it looks like we are still waiting on a motion for summary judgment decision. And we also have a motion, it looks like a cross motion to dismiss. All right, so that's the big ones. And that leaves just two boards left, everybody. Can we do it? We're marathoning it. This is this is a marathon of knowledge. Yikes. All right, tea break. And then we'll go through what's in the Court of Appeals and then the habeas cases. And then we'll be finished up. Who knew you'd be spending your Monday night with me listening to all of this stuff? My goodness gracious. Whew. All right, so Court of Appeals. Again, all the colors mean the same things. This is National TPS Alliance. We've got oral arguments on the 16th. Transgender inmates. This is just an ongoing issue, by the way. We've got transgender inmate issues that were going on in the previous administration. So let's take a moment to acknowledge that this is just an issue, and it has been going on. It continues to go on. So that's still going. We've got habeas corpus AEA, so the DBU case here, and it looks like they've dismissed. We've got a class certification going on, so we're working on that. Transgender inmates also, again, so that's a pretty huge issue that's been going on in DC. We're waiting for briefs to be finished on that one. Ban on the DEIA stuff down here. Let me just pull this up. Here we go. Here we go. We can see that a little bit better this way. We've got National Association of Diversity, and it's looking like nationwide injunction. All right. Which is still being debated. We've got briefing that's being due here. So that Supreme Court case that they just heard on birthright citizenship regarding those injunctions will affect some of these cases for sure. And then here, birthright citizenship. Here, an answer. Ooh, that one should have an answer soon. That's in the First Circuit. TPS pause here, also First Circuit. Trans military, that's the Talbot case. So I've already moved that one over. And then the refugee, the Pasito case, has also been appealed. So we're kind of waiting on that one as well. And then only saw one. Which one? Of the inmate cases, I'm wondering if they've consolidated them. Only saw one new case for today. Ooh, that would be great. All right. So, all right, let me see. I got off target. Sorry, everybody. Here we go. Rescinding collective bargaining agreement here in the DC Circuit. And State of Maryland versus the USDA. This is the federal workers here. Okay, thank you, Navy vet. I'll take a peek at that. We're in the Fourth Circuit. We've got the American Federation of Government Employees here. So we have more employees. We're in the Ninth Circuit. Tariffs down here. Again, lots of tariffs. And this is the Blackfeet Nation in Montana. Oh, so that's that. I'm not sure. I can't off the top of my head remember which circuit Montana's in. That one. And then we have the CFPB. I'm going to say that wrong. I apologize. CFPB has been dismantled. We've been talking about that a little bit. This case has stayed their preliminary injunction. They're in D.C. We have the USA dismantling. Again, preliminary injunction in the Fourth Circuit. This is another dismantling U.S. aid in the Fourth Circuit. IAF dismantling, another one, and this is in D.C. Circuit. Voice of America in the D.C. Circuit as well. And then our last row over here. All right, so our green sticky notes are frozen federal funds, so federal funding, grants, various other things. Here, State of New York. State of New York. Oh, procedural history. Ooh, ordered enforcement. Ooh, interesting. They've appealed it twice to the First Circuit. All right, so this one I think we're going to have some compliance issues on. We may have been hearing about that early on. This one here, RFE, RL Incorporated versus U.S. Agency for Global Media, D.C. Circus. It feels like it, everybody. It feels like a circus. Circuit, Radio Free Asia here, again, DC, that's the fund. Middle East Broadcasting for the funding here is in DC. Association of American Universities over here, First Circuit, State of New York. This is a different, oh wait, is this different or not? Let me double check, because that appeal number looks the same. Let me just double check. No, I think this is the same case. It just has a new appeal number. All right, so we're going to combine that. Look, everybody, look, one less case. Woohoo! We put it all together. Association of American Medical Colleges versus NIH. We're in the First Circuit. New Mexico versus Musk here. The Japanese American case. Oh, really? The Japanese American case has been combined in there. So let me just move that so that it's next to each other. Where's the Japanese American case? Oh, here it is. Let's move this one so that it's with its little buddy over here. Where is the buddy? Here it is. Okay. Phew. So those two cases have been consolidated here. And then American Teachers here, Fourth Circuit. DC Circuit for the Climate United Fund. National Council of Nonprofits is also DC. Whew. All right, so those are our Court of Appeal cases. Oh, that's a lot, everybody. All right, and then the last one here are the habeas corpus cases, which these are the ones that I check pretty regularly because, you know, they're habeas cases. So that's kind of a big deal. And we've had a lot of things that have changed. So again, these are the Alien Enemies Act cases here. All of them are included here. And then over here we have the visa cases where the visas have been revoked over here. And then down here we have our First Amendment. So of course we've got down here, let's see, Ozturk, Khalil's down there, Sultan, Suri, Chung's there. Let's see, Rona, Smith are both there as well. And then Alien Enemies up here are all of our GFF, AARP, Madawi. Actually, I think Madawi is the First Amendment, but whatever. He should be up here anyway. Erickson, this one's JGG, which is actually combined. JAV, so these two are combined. YAPA, Gil Rojas, Alaway, Shihab, and ASR. So again, detention. These people are in detention. Although I think Mr. Maudawi has been out. And then we have our case just on saying you can't just send people to El Salvador. And that's got a hearing coming up tomorrow. Down here, of course, are our detention cases as well. So those I really talk about quite a bit, so I won't spend too much time on it. But those are the habeas cases. And then we go over here real quick. And these are the cases where we've got a dismissal. And this one's the most recent one. The Zacharias case, where this was an alien enemies case, and they said you can't put us into El Salvador, but you could send us back to Venezuela. And I think they went back to Venezuela, is what happened there. And also the Iverson case. Does anybody remember that one? Everyone was like, "Oh, it's the Hague is here to save us." The Iverson case has been withdrawn, voluntarily dismissed. He was given kind of like this special exception where he was allowed to speak to whomever he needed to speak to in order to do his job. And so Iverson has been pulled on that. So, all right, everybody. Rojas, thank you. Thank you very much. So, oh my gosh, everybody, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'll give you a view again over here. And these are kind of like my little organizer post-its here. Can they automatically deport or do they get a court date? Great question. And I honestly do not know. I do not know. And that's the thing too, is that, you know, with the Venezuelan situation, with the temporary nature of what was granted, I mean, that will expire at some point and things have to be taken care of after that. But this administration is like just such a jerk that it doesn't really matter, I mean, what they say or how they're going about it, because there's going to be some kind of nefarious intent. I mean, that's just how it is with these guys. So, in my humble opinion. There we go. There's a better view of the full, I don't know, I can't get the full situation. There we go. Oh my gosh. All right. So do we have questions? Does anyone in the class have questions? Don't pack up yet. Oh my goodness gracious. Have we ever deported people to prison? So that's the thing, right? So deportation is an administrative process, not criminal. If you've got a criminal situation, you are sending them through extradition. So extradition is criminal. Deportation is administrative, right? So that's kind of the key here when they're saying, oh, they can go wherever they want. It's like, well, there's not a criminal case. You're not taking them to another place. Wins Garcia home, anybody's guess. Friday, the judge did not seem very happy with what was going on. So I would predict within the next 24, 48 hours, we're going to start to see some more movement on that. But the judge just is like, I've got the power of the Supreme Court behind me. And I know that I'm right. So, oh, yes. I know it really is. Again, I do spend most of my time horizontal. And my best times I'm able to sit. But very rare that, I'm standing. So this is a treat for me, actually. I'm like, oh, look, I've got feet. I'm so excited. How long will we endure? Forever. That's just what we do in this country. We just keep going forward. This is just the fight that we're having to do right now because apparently that's what everybody wanted. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Yeah. So if you see my introductory video in my bio, I kind of go in and explain it a bit better. Oh my gosh, Thomas, you know what I'm saying. Yes. So, I was in an accident and, had some complications. So it's very difficult for me to stand. But I'm standing now and I'm very excited about it. And this is just a really good, good night for me. Sacrificing spoons, I saved them up. I saved them up. I'm very thankful that I have some spoons. Well, you know what I'm talking about then. Oh, yeah. Oh, the fibro. My goodness gracious. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. You're so sweet, everybody. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's so kind of you. Yes. Well, that's when you're having a super good day is when you can stand. So I'm very thankful for that. That I tell you, when you go from being able-bodied partially to not being able to stand, it's really a big change. It's a big change. So something that's hard to get used to for sure. Oh, Thomas, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Yes. Well, I mean, we're all going through stuff and yeah, Boxer Mom, I know. Same. But, such is life. I'm so thankful to be here that it's worth it. It's worth it. So, yeah, there's definitely a grieving process. Oh yeah, there's a very painful grieving process. But, at the end of the day, and I say this to my family and they say it to me all the time, is I'm just thankful to be here. So everything else can get sorted. And then I can have great nights like this where I'm walking around and my lungs are like, whoa, look at that. What's this that we're doing right now? Oh my gosh. So yes, I'm very thankful. Very thankful. It was the first time we've heard spoons. Okay, well, Navy Vet, see, you learned something kind of, new and different to categorize your where you're at in the world with your spoonage. Absolutely, absolutely. So, oh yes, I tell you, this has just been, for me, this is really helping my stress because I felt like everything was so out of control because you're hearing all the executive orders, you're hearing about all these cases and, what's going on. And it's too much. And so, I felt like, well, if I could just grab onto it, then we can get it sorted out and slow it down. So it's definitely been a lot helpful for me. So you help with stress. Oh, good. I'm glad. See, that's what I'm saying, Blue. We got to stick together. Absolutely. Now, I will be going live tomorrow on the Tube of You, Tuesday Tube Night. I think, is that the new name? I haven't decided yet. But I will be over there. We've got lots of really interesting orders that came out. We had a great order that came out earlier today by Judge. She's like, well, this isn't right at all. So you need to knock this off. So I've got some great orders and updates documents. So I'll do probably a pregame show over here on the talk before I go over to the Tube. But that's where I'll be hanging out tomorrow. If we get any new really fun and interesting things, I'll come back in. But Tuesday. Oh, I like it. So thank you all for coming and hanging out with me tonight. It's absolutely been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Listening to my ramblings here. So take care. I wish you all the very, very best. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll be over on the Tube tomorrow and we'll chat again. All right. So have a good night, everybody.